I took a lot of helpful information from chapters 12, 13, 16, and 17. In chapter 12, it tells us how to use language. It tells us good speakers are aware of the meaning of their words and know how to use language accurately, clearly, vividly, and appropriately. There are two kinds of meanings of words: denotative, which is more precise, and connotative, which is more subjective. When we are using language accurately, it says every word has shades of meaning that distinguish it from any other word, meaning it's unique. When we use language clearly, it tells us three ways to ensure that we're using it clearly: with using familiar words, eliminating clutter, and choosing concrete words. When we use language vividly, it gives us 2 points: imagery and rhythm, which help us move the audience and make our speech come alive. When we use language appropriately, it tells us to use it to the occasion, to the audience, topic, and the speaker. In chapter 13, it teaches us how to have a good, strong delivery, and delivery is a matter of nonverbal communication. Good delivery doesn't call attention to itself, it rather conveys the speaker's ideas interestingly and clearly without distinct. 4 methods of delivering a speech is reading from a manuscript, reciting memorized text, speaking impromptu, and speaking extemporaneously. It also goes on to tell us about our voice. It asks us, what kind of sound does your voice have? And it tells us whatever the sound of your voice, you should always know that it's going to be unique because nobody's going to have the same exact voice as you. It tells us the aspects of our voice that we should focus on is volume, pitch, rate, pauses, vocal variety, pronunciation, articulation, and effect. It also goes on to tell us about online speech classes, and it tells us that they require all the skills of a speech class and speech preparation, as well as challenges unique to online environment, and gives helpful tips that I use to my advantage because of this class. It tells us to know our technology. It teaches us how to control visual environment, adapt to nonverbal communication, adjust the pacing for our online environment. It tells us to rehearse, to have a backup plan, and teaches us how to manage question and answering for online classes. In chapter 16, it teaches us how to speak to persuade, which was really nice with this upcoming speech that we have. It says whenever you speak to persuade, you should always act as an advocate. It tells us no matter the speaking situation, to always make sure your goals are ethically sound. In every persuasive speech, you'll face listeners who are strongly for you, neutral, or strongly opposed. As you prepare for your persuasive speech, put yourself in place of audience to see how they will respond and maybe some questions that they might ask. Many questions of fact cannot be answered correctly or absolutely. There is a true answer, but we don't have enough information to really tell if the answer is right or not. Questions of value are judgments based on beliefs about what is good or bad, immoral or moral, and etc. Questions of policy arise daily in everything that we do, and in chapter 16 it teaches us how to organize our speeches effectively. In chapter 17 it tells us the methods of persuasion. It tells us credibility is affected by 2 factors: competence and character, and that credibility is an attitude. There are 3 types of credibility: initial credibility, which is before your speech; derived credibility, which is during your speech; and terminal credibility, which is after your speech. It tells us to do everything that you can to make you appear capable and trustworthy, that gaining credibility can boost it, and it helps to explain competence. If you hope to be persuasive, you must support views with evidence, which is examples, statistics, and testimony. Strong evidence is absolutely necessary in any persuasive speech. It goes on to talk about reasoning and how it's the process of drawing a conclusion based on evidence. As a public speaker, 2 major concerns with respect to reasoning is to make sure your reasoning is sound and to try to get listeners to agree. It tells us to avoid fallacies and to not jump to conclusions in any situation. It also goes on to tell us if we want to have an effective persuasion speech, then we should also use emotional appeal. It tells us to use emotion laden words and to develop richly textured examples for appeal to grow naturally. It tells us you need to feel the emotion and put it into that speech so your audience will agree with you and feel that same way that you feel. Emotional appeal should be ethically as well. Make sure it is appropriate on the speech topic, and it tells us to always build our persuasive speech on a firm foundation. Those are the things that I learned in chapters 12, 13, 16, and 17. Thank you.